In business, the managing director of the NDIC, Bello Hassan, made a disclosure in Abuja at a media briefing on the liquidation of Heritage Bank following the withdrawal of its license by the Central Bank of Nigeria for breaching Section 12 of BOFI 2020. According to the CBN, the decision to revoke Heritage Bank's license is to strengthen public confidence in the banking system and ensure that the soundness of the financial system is not impaired. The NDIC put the total depositors at Heritage Bank at 2.3 million and notes that the total deposits at Heritage Bank stands at 650 billion naira, while its loan portfolio stands at over 700 billion naira. And to talk about this in detail, I'm joined live on the news by a microeconomic analyst, Musa Obed. Good morning, glad to have you join me. Let me kick off by asking, what's your take on the liquidation of Heritage Bank by the CBN?
Thanks for having me. Before we go further, I think it's important to really understand where we're coming from. By that I mean where is Heritage Bank coming from in itself? So in the 70s, Societe Generale Bank, that's the SGBN, was formed by Dr. Lusola Saraki, and as a result of progress, the bank succeeded upon 2004 during the capitalization programs, which the SGBN could not meet up with the requirements by the CBN, so its banking license was revoked. By 2012, 2013, we see that Heritage Bank came again because the license could be attained once more, but this time under a new name, rebranded, and with a license that is more national.
Now, the bank changed management recently, yet its bad loans persisted. Does this indicate, perhaps poor leadership, or just a case of implementing, of lack of proper implementation of knowing your customer when it comes to protocols?
Okay, yeah. So the management of the Heritage Bank is an interesting case study in the sense that what we have seen is Heritage Bank was a successful bank, up until the 2021. So in 2012, 2013, the first managing director with the new rebranded bank was Ifi Sekibo, who was one of the chairmen of one of the equity holders of former SGBN Nigeria. What we see is that in the 2015 period, the equity of the bank was high. For example, the shareholders' equity was 25 billion naira, and as at that point, they even had the capacity to go and acquire Enterprise Bank for 50 million naira. The problems that we see, and especially in regards to the management, right, starts to come around 2019, 2020, 2021 period, where we start to see the non-performing loan ratio of Heritage Bank start to deplete. So in 2021, the NPL, that's the non-performing loan ratio of Heritage Bank, was at 81.2%. What this tells us is that the bank does not really understand how to give loans that will make returns for it. A non-performing ratio of 81.2% just simply means that if you have 100 naira, of every 100 naira that you give out as loans, 81 of it is not coming back to you. You are losing it because those loans are bad loans. So in regards to the KYC processes that you asked, yes, there was a problem there, because if you really understood your customers, then you know who to give your loans to and who not to give your loans to. And of course, now the management, which was changed in 2022 under the chairmanship of Akinola George Taylor, tried to help the hem of affairs, but at the end of the day, we still see that nothing was solved, which led to the revocation of, by the CBN last week.
Now, following this disclosure by the NDIC, there's been a lot of fear in the air. How do you think the fears of customers can be allayed by the NDIC?
Okay. So at this point, for everyone listening, it's important to recall that the Heritage Bank has a national license. There are only 22 other banks in Nigeria that have that such capacity, right? And when we're talking about customers of Heritage Bank, and maybe the fears they might be having, we have to categorize the customers in two categories. So there are the customers that have loans that are 5 million and below, and there are the customers that have loans that are 5 million in deposits and above. As you stated, the managing director of the NDIC, Bello Hassan, came out and he stated that about 99.9% of depositors of Heritage Bank actually fall under the first category. That is, they have loans that is 5 million and below. So what that means is that the remaining people, the 0.1%, are the ones that have loans that are 5 million and above. Bello Hassan has stated that the NDIC will pay back everybody, like the insured amount, and the maximum insured amount the NDIC can cover is 5 million naira. And in this case, that is 99.9% of the customers that Heritage Bank has. So everybody in this category, basically, literally all the customers, if you like, have been safe. But of course, like the 0.1%, which is 4,000, according to Bello Hassan, right, might have hundreds of millions, hundreds of billions in Heritage Bank deposits, which they might be scared they will lose because, the maximum insured amount is 5 million. In such cases, what the NDIC states is that what they are going to do is, after selling off all the assets and after, looking at the Heritage Bank loans, they will now revise, and based on the liquidation dividends, they will now share across the people that have that have deposits with Heritage Bank that were worth more than 5 million, which are only 4,000 clients or customers for Heritage Bank's case.
Indeed, we hope the NDIC steps up and allay the fears of customers to ensure they get their money. Thank you once again. Thank you so much for your time on the news. Musa Obed, microeconomic analyst. Thank you once again.
Thank you.